So bullshitting, this understanding that bullshitting is making a claim with minimal or no regard for its truth or its falsity, is derived from um, Harry Frankfurt's article on bullshit. He was the first one to write about the moral significance of bullshit. It's a book that you can, or it's an article that you can find published as a book, right? In like a pocketbook, like yay big, right? Yay big. You can frame your face with your fingers. It's about that big. Um, so you can find this in pretty much all bookstore shelves in the philosophy section for like, I don't know, I think it's like $12 or something. You can buy it. This tiny little book that is actually a 16-page article. If you want this article, because it is an interesting little read, um, ask me. I'll send it to you. I'll send a copy of it to you for free. It's a lot better than paying for basically 16 pages that have been chopped down into tiny, tiny segments so that you can reach 65 pages of print. It's bullshit. And then, in fact, the publishing of that article as a book is an exercise in bullshit. Um, Now, this definition that we're working with was initially given by Harry Frankfurt, um, and Weber agrees with it for the most part, but he thinks that there are different kinds of bullshit. Right? He thinks that the kind of bullshit that Frankfurt is talking about is what he calls pure bullshit. Right? And that's where the bullshitter just does not care about the truth at all. Right? Doesn't care about the truth, and by consequence, he doesn't care about the falsity. What the pure bullshitters do when slinging pure bullshit is they're just trying to be heard, basically. There's no care for truth, falsity, reality at all. Right? Advertising is the greatest example of pure bullshit. Right? And then Weber says that there are sort of two subcategories of bullshit. There's bullshit assertions, where um, an assertion is made without regard for its truth. And the bullshitter, in this case, only cares about the falsity of what they say, and only insofar as they want to be believed. Right? So they know it's not true, but they're not lying, right? Um, they know it's not true, but they're not lying because they're not intentionally communicating false information. They're intentionally communicating senseless information, right? Um, and this is the type of thing like what you do when you make bullshit for jokes. When you bullshit someone as a joke, right? If you've ever done that with like family, where uh, I don't know how to describe it, but basically just like flat expression, and you just talk to your family and try to convince them that a family or friends, and try to convince them that something is true that's not. Um, you you know Not for the sake of hiding the truth, but just for the sake of amusement, right? Like you'll go back and when it's revealed, it's like no hard feelings, unlike a lie where you're intentionally misleading them or deceiving them for the truth, right? You care, so in this case, you care about hiding the falsity of what you're doing for the sake of the joke, right? Um, you want them to believe you because belief is necessary for the joke. You're not intentionally trying to communicate false information in a malicious way or something like that. You're just bullshitting them. Right? In context of making the joke, you have no care for the truth of what's being said. whereas the liar does. The liar intentionally miscommunicates false information because they want the false information to be taken as true. Right? Um, the bullshitter still doesn't care about what the false information they communicate. The person making a bullshit assertion doesn't care about the false information they're communicating. Right? They don't care about the truthity, and they only care about the falsity insofar as they want you to believe it for a moment, right? Or that they want to be believed. Right? They want to be believed. They want to maintain some semblance, or they don't care about their credibility, just that you believe them. That's as far as their concern for credibility takes them in this case. And then bullshit implications are an implication made without regard for its truth, right? Same thing as a bullshit assertion, right? And the bullshitter cares only about the falsity of what is they imply insofar as they want to be believed, right? Um, this one's a bit more difficult to give an example of. Weber gives a couple of decent examples in his paper. But again, it's a bit more difficult, right? A bullshit implication's a lot harder to pick out. The best way to do it is to look at some of the commercials that are linked in the module, right? One of the biggest bullshit implications is in the Tab Cola commercial. Tab Cola for the beautiful people. Tab Cola, what a beautiful drink. And in the end, it has like soda glass turns into an hourglass figure, right? It's a visual implication, right? It's never directly asserted, but the idea being you drink this 1 calorie soda and you will gain an hourglass figure, right? Which, if you want that, great. If you're a guy, no, not great. That's actually crushing, your ribs into internal organs. Don't forget, we have extra floating ribs that, you know, those who are biologically female do not. So don't go for like an hourglass figure. It's not actually good unless you remove those ribs, which are non-essential, but um, that's expensive and requires surgery. Okay, all of that aside, um, there's still clearly a hierarchy of care, right? You're, if you take bullshitting too far, it can still damage your credibility to an extent in uh, assertion or in an implication, depending on what you're bullshitting, right? Um, but not to the same extent as lying or misleading, because the liar or misleader still cares about the truth. Right? They care about their credibility of what they say, um, and hence, they're trying to disguise the fact or hide the fact that what they're saying is not the truth from you. The bullshitter is not, um, and they don't care about their credibility as it relates to the bullshit. Maybe overall they do, but as it relates to the particular bullshit they're slinging, whether it be in the form of assertions, implications, or just pure bullshit, they don't care, right? Um, uh, their credibility doesn't matter, right? So any hits that are taken to the bullshitter's credibility in assertion and implication tend to be more minimal than those from who lie or mislead. And even then, like, the hits in credibility can vary wildly, right? If you bullshit someone hard enough, right, they can get really upset and not take your word for a long time at face value, right? Because you might consider it bullshit, but it might have been something that's actually important to the speaker or the person you were speaking to. On the same thing, like a minor white lie is not going to damage your credibility and assertion nearly as much as consistently misleading others about something important will. And insofar as this is the case, well, you get this reality that by structure alone, lying is worse than misleading, and both of these things are worse than bullshitting. But there's definitely going to be a question of values, individual values that factor into this, right? Since it's between, since all these things occur between people, right? If someone lies about something that you hold no particular value in, you might, and you find out that they lied to you about that, then you might lose some, they might lose some credibility in your eyes, but not nearly the same degree as if they lied about something very, very important, right? So the structure suggests that there is, structural analysis suggests that there is sort of a deontological scale going on, but the reality is actually more nuanced. Right? Um, it's still a deontological ethics. It's what's in question is really just this is more wrong on, you know, all things being equal, lying's more wrong than implication, and so on and so forth. Uh, but you also have to think about the accumulation of lies versus misleading versus bullshitting, right? When you parse these things out. And the damage to credibility is sort of a longitudinal feature depending on how much one does one of those and how much value one places in the information being communicated, right? So there's a question of values that sneaks its way into all of this. And since values aren't universal, the effect in damage of credibility isn't universally equal, given the same lies or misleadings or bullshittings.